Perfect. All right, good morning and welcome to another Friday morning safety meeting. It's the 18th of April, so we're already more than halfway through April, which is pretty crazy. This week's code item of the week is don't overpromise or underdeliver. I would kick it over to Mr. Dow right now, but I'll do it myself, I guess. This is the one that I struggle with the most. You know, it's easy to tell people that you'll do something, but sometimes you gotta pause, talk to yourself in your head, and be like, all right, is that really going to be feasible or not? So just being mindful of and self-aware of what we can and can't get done is important.
Yeah, I always trigger it to speculation. If you're assuming something or you're speculating a little bit, it's easy to get into that mode where you are over promising because you don't know for sure.
All right, safety news. We are 72 days without a recordable injury, 49 days without a first aid injury.
Nice.
My apologies. And 7 days without a vehicle incident.
Let's get to that 100.
Yep. This week we're going to talk about preventing hand injuries, which is one of our more common injuries that we have out there. So we have 1 million emergency room visits each year due to work-related hand injuries in this country, and 1/10 of those result in lost time. 70% of all injuries may have been prevented by wearing the proper hand protection. Hand cuts and punctures cost the construction industry an annual of $400 million, and 30% of all hand injuries are from improper glove selection. Your hazards are pinch points, sharp objects. You can injure yourself in a slip, trip, or fall. It could be defective equipment, rotating or moving equipment, hot or cold surfaces, line of fire, or chemical. Once again, we're going back to our hierarchy of controls. So if we can substitute the hazard by, well, actually, we'll eliminate the hazard. If we go to that, we could do a lockout, tag out, or something like that. We've had instances where guys go to fix an issue on a piece of equipment or something out in the field, and then they shut the equipment off and done a even informal lockout, tag out procedure, the injury never would have occurred. And a lot of times these hand injuries result in either stitches or broken bones, which are recordable injuries. You could replace the hazard. You could isolate yourself from the hazard, so making sure that all your tool guards and stuff like that are functioning and in place. You could change the way people work, which is like training procedures, policies, etc. And you could use PPE, which is the last line of defense, but it's also a very important line of defense. So even if there's a hazard that you don't necessarily perceive, if you're wearing the right gloves for an issue that could arise, then you're going to be in a better place if an incident does happen. So that equipment fires when you don't expect it to, or something moves when you don't expect it to. If you're wearing the proper PPE, it can help you out there. There's a lot of different types of gloves out there, and on the gloves there will be a little shield emblem with what they're rated for different things. So you have your general use gloves, which are kind of your just run-of-the-mill thin leather gloves, stuff like that, mechanics gloves, things like that. You have your welding or hot work gloves. Those are going to be thick leather, and if you touch something hot for a quick second, it's not going to burn you most of the time, right? You have cut resistant gloves in the vending machines. Those thin gloves, those actually have a coating of cut resistant material on them. So those are rated at what's called an A6, which means that it will take a certain amount of cutting before it goes through to your hands. We also carry A9 gloves up in safety, so if we need them, just let us know. We have needle stick gloves, and that's becoming more and more prevalent. We did a safety meeting on this a couple months ago, but if you're picking up needles or something like that, we have special gloves that are for that and will keep you from being punctured. So those are puncture resistant gloves. We have nitrile gloves and other chemical resistant gloves, stuff like that. High visibility gloves, which can be important if you're flagging somebody at night or something like that. There are crush resistant gloves. We don't carry them, but if you need them for something, we can get them for you. Same thing, they're rated on a scale of 1 to 9. And then there are abrasion resistant gloves, which most gloves are, even if they're not rated as such. So the big thing is pick the gloves that you need for the job. If we don't have them, get with Matt or myself. We'll get you the gloves that you need, and then we can go forth and be safe. And like I said before, most of our recordable injuries are hand injuries. That's all I have for this. And just don't be careless with where you stick your hands.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of highlight from the great Stu King. Don't put your hands where you wouldn't put your baby maker. But yeah, it's we had 6 of our 8 recordables were hand injuries last year, guys. So really, let's put an emphasis on hand injuries this year. Are we sharing the email that went out yesterday?
Yep, I see it.
See it? Perfect.
Yep.
All right, yeah, so Ben's off today, so let's make him proud by working safe and being productive today, working together as a team. Good job on preventing hand injuries, Tom. We do have some quick announcements to highlight. Happy Easter to everybody. Easter Sunday. Hopefully everybody knows that is on Sunday. If not, hopefully start making some plans now. Healthcare premium holiday. We are in it. So enjoy the next 14 weeks. July 18th will be changing back over. So take advantage of that and be smart financially. Big congratulations to Joshua Ives. Got promoted to the foreman on the concrete side of things. So if you see Josh, give him a pat on the back and say congratulations. Looks like someone's been following the code of conduct pretty well over the last couple of years. So good job. Quick ESOP. Today at 2:00, I believe Aaron is still looking for employees to sign up. So if you are interested, from 2 to 3 in the main conference room.
It's next Friday, Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next Friday. Yeah, sorry. Next Friday, 25th. Oh yeah, sorry, my bad.
I'll be here.
So sign up with Aaron. Sarah wanted us to highlight this again. She does have quite a bit of pink cards for the transfer tank. So if you do not have a pink card in your truck for your transfer tank, please get with Sarah so we can be done with that initiative, making sure that everybody has what they need to properly fill up. Quick notice to all employees on the HR front. The employee benefit management enrollment. This email went out to everybody Tuesday, April 8th, and it came from Employee Navigation. It will be highlighted as employee benefit management. It's a link designed just for you to go in and change, to really sign up. It kind of takes over that easy account that everybody had to do last year. This is a new software that HR will be using for our benefits. So if everybody can go in, find that email, register, Aaron and Melanie can help with any questions or concerns. So contact them. Their information's here. One of our last announcements, just to highlight, was Earth Day is next Tuesday, kind of following the code of conduct that we have for working in environmental conscientious manner. So let's really highlight that for next Tuesday. It's Earth Day. Our Power, Our Planet. This theme encourage individuals, organizations, and government to prioritize the embrace renewable energy source to create a sustainable future. So it's kind of cool. Newest member of ECI is Stephen Sherman. He's a truck driver for us. Good job this week, Stephen, driving. If you see him, introduce yourself. Welcome to the team. And then the last couple we have here is just our wellness program, the EAP. Take advantage of that benefit as well. Call Aaron or Health and Safety if you have any questions on those programs. And then I'm excited for this because these guys do a lot of cool stuff. So Richard Keach is going to be highlighting what the surveys do each and every day for us.
Morning, everybody. Yeah, just a quick presentation on a very brief synopsis of what we do at Survey. Obviously, we do a lot of different things, but main goal of ECI Survey team is to provide quality technical support and accurate layout for all our projects. The structures and travels ways that we build need to meet or exceed vertical and horizontal tolerances specific to each project and survey industry standards. Methods of construction, survey, and layout continues to evolve, as you guys well know, with machine control. With the advancements of technology, but the goal of accurate placement remains the same. ECI is known for its ingenuity and the ability to learn and use technologies while maintaining our standards of safety and quality. Picture there of Mike on the left and Gunner on the right, surveying. So obviously, surveying come a long way in a brief amount of time. Basically, the ability of GPS has made it where you have a 7-man team has gone down to a 1-man team. Obviously, we still work in pairs generally, mostly for safety reasons, but also just for ease and efficiency. See the group of us down there on the bottom. Mike Twombly, 46 years of experience. Him and I worked together actually at a previous employer, engineering company in Colchester. Worked together for a long time. Now we're back together again. So Gunner there in the middle between Mike and I, and then newest member of our team, Mike Silva, who moved up here last year from Southeastern Mass. So got a good group of us here, as you can see. A lot of experience. It's not typical for your construction companies to have the level of survey experience that we have. But you know, the 4 of us have been doing this a long time. I've pretty much seen everything, so makes it a little bit easier. Our main disciplines at ECI obviously are construction staking. You know, a lot of projects still require grade stakes. Still require just the basic stuff. A lot of pre-construction stuff. You know, all your EPSC things like that are required even before construction starts. We either usually set up those projects ourselves or provide the equipment with that information in it. I certainly will not bore you with the science behind GPS, GNSS, all that fun stuff. That's another 2-hour presentation we can get into later. But now everybody talks about GPS. Essentially, GPS is the U.S. satellites that we have access to for positioning. Global Navigation Satellite System, or GNSS, is exactly what that is. It's global. It's the ability to use India's satellites, Japan satellites, Chinese satellites, plus the GPS satellites to use for positioning. So it allows you access to a lot more information. Obviously, things get a lot more accurate that way. So we obviously do a lot of differential leveling. By far the most accurate way to transfer elevations. We recently just did some training, some different crews on this. I included this. This is kind of the format we want to use as moving forward when we're doing differential leveling. Not pointing fingers or anything like that, but there's, you know, sometimes you get stuff written down or a bunch of numbers just scratched in a field book or even on a 2x4 or something like that. These field books are legal binding documents in court. So if we ever have an issue, somebody calls us out and says we did something wrong, if we go back and have nice clean notes like this in our field book, we look a lot better than if we hand them a piece of plywood with some notes on it. So we're just trying to make this a format we use kind of company wide. And obviously like I said, we're doing training with that. You see there's an aerial survey that we also do. This is kind of the newest form of technology that we brought into ECI. Ken Pigeon actually came to me during COVID and asked if I could start a drone program. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about at the time, but from that, we've come a long ways. This is a project we did down in downtown Burlington for the concrete guys. Obviously, it's an extremely tight site. We had to do as-builts of every one of the inlay plates on that building, all the bolts, all the piers, everything. While everybody was still working on that project, we basically flew it, created a 3D model of it, and did all of our as-builts without even stepping foot on site, really. I was across the street when I did this. So, and didn't have to worry about man lifts, taking any time. It took about 1/10 of the time that it would have taken if we would have done it traditionally. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool survey. Obviously, machine control is another piece of technology that we use a lot now. Here's a picture of Royalton. We have 4 excavators here, all running machine control at the same time, all from one base. Everything from a 380, 350, 345, and a 245, all with GPS heads on them. Everything was preloaded into those machines, and all we had to do was sit back and watch. And no grade stakes, nobody down in a hole that we had to worry about. They were able to just hog all that material out by looking at their screen. As you can see in that next photo down, there's a screen right inside the machine that gives them grades, cross sections, profiles, everything that they need right in the machine. So it also helps us a ton because we don't overdig. We're not spending money bringing material back in. There's nobody down in the hole checking grades. Everything's in the machine. So it's much more efficient and whole hell of a lot faster. So makes us a lot more competitive in bids and things like that too. And we have this equipment just because of the amount of time it saves us. And like I said, we know that we're not going to overdig because everything is built right into that machine. And we do a lot of custom, well, you'll see later, we do a lot of custom stuff in-house for machine control. Again, I won't bore you too much, but a lot of math that we use to do this stuff, everything from trig, geometry, a lot of calcing of curves, a lot of calcing of slopes, balancing sites, obviously the less material we take off site, the more efficient we are. So saves in trucking, saves in those things like that. So if we can find ways to balance sites, saves everybody money in the long run. So, but there's a lot that goes into that in the office before we even get to a job site. So obviously we use a lot of different software here, primarily CAD softwares that we use. CAD is computer aided drafting. So you'll see that we still have drafting tables in our offices, but now they're just covered in equipment now instead of papers and squares and measurement tools, because all of our drafting is done on computers now. We use Carlson Survey, Carlson Civil, and some of the guys here also use Civil 3D, which we have some experience in also. Each one of our data collectors, these guys right here, everything from one like that to different styles. Those use either a Carlson Survey or Trimble SiteWorks. Trimble Business Center is also up on my screen right now. That's what we use to basically create all of the files for the machine control, for the tablets, all of those things. So, and then, like I said, Trimble SiteWorks is for your rovers, and Trimble Earthworks is what you see in that picture below you. That is what we use for the machines themselves. Trimble Works Manager is basically, I'm able to access all of our equipment from my laptop. Guys call me, say, hey, I can't get this file to load. Hey, I got a question about this. Hey, I can't connect to a base. What's going on? I can remotely log in, just like if you called Calkins and asked them an IT question on your laptop. I can log into these guys' pieces of equipment, whether it's a data collector, whether it's a machine, and a lot of times I can troubleshoot what's going on right from my office. It allows us remote access to all of pretty much every piece of equipment we have. When I started here 6 years ago, we had, I believe, 2 or 3 pieces of equipment that had GPS capabilities, machine control capabilities. We have 12 now. I think we had 2 Trimble rovers. We have 10 now. So we've greatly expanded our capabilities when it comes to machine control and also the rover aspect. A lot of our foremen, field engineers, a lot of them have their own rovers on sites. So that means that we're not going out every single day to lay out catch basins, to do as-built shots on stuff. Like, those guys are there, they're on site, they know what's going on, they can do it real time, and It's much, much, much more efficient. And they know more than we do when it comes to how these things are being built and what's being built. So see there on top, there's a map that basically that allows me to see where every piece of equipment that we have is. So those are just miscellaneous jobs that we have going on around the state. And I can click on any one of those and it brings up a map of that site and a list of all the devices on it, which is all the pieces of equipment that's there. So once those guys show up on site, there could be, hey, the 250 got moved to Fairleigh. And I can be like, all right, I click on Fairleigh. I can add a piece of equipment and it automatically uploads all those files to that machine. And so no more driving to Fairleigh to plug a flash drive in. It's just not an efficient way of doing things. This is much better when we have a fleet the size that we have. It's definitely saved us a ton of time of just driving around basically. There's another that photo below. A lot of you guys probably recognize that place. That is Bushy Pit. Another thing we use the drone for is quantities. You know, I can get a call from Burns saying, hey, we got a huge topsoil pile up there. Need to get a quantity on it. We got a project coming up. We need X amount of yards for it. I can go up there. I can do a 20-minute flight. And a couple hours later, I can send him a measurement of exactly what we have for quantities. We've been stockpiling stuff up there for projects. I can fly a bin and say, yep, you got 60,000 yards of material in that bin. That saves us an exorbitant amount of time. We're not over trucking stuff in. So it's just another piece of technology that saves us a lot of time and energy. And this is kind of a cool one too, because it's a place that everybody knows. So, but that's a little picture of the software, Propeller software. It's also a Trimble product that we use to process all of that stuff. So a quick, still, like I said, simplified process of some of the things that we do. You know, we receive plans from a project, preferably CAD files for a project. We go through, we kind of tick through the plans, try to find any issues with the plans. We're kind of the go-between between the plans and, you know, here's how we want it built and here's how it can be built. And we're kind of the go-between and make sure that we actually can take those plans and turn them into something we can actually physically build. Obviously determine the best approach on how to accurately lay out and provide direction to field crews. Obviously we include a lot of file conversions because we take AutoCAD and turn it into, like I said, the Trimble files, the Carlson files, things like that. We build surfaces. That is something that we've done a lot of recently. You know, we do hire some stuff out, some of the bigger projects, you know, the Champlain Parkway, the Williston 2A intersection. Some of that stuff is just extremely time consuming, and there's people that are more set up to do those bigger projects. We do a lot of custom stuff in-house. You'll see one of the slides later is just like box culverts for the rails. I know we just did one of those last week. You saw the Wallingford site. Like that's one of those ones where it was a shutdown, built a custom surface so that those guys could dig that thing basically to grade without having to, you know, jump down in the hole every single time. They could dig it, get it all set up, set their stone, check it with a laser, but just much more efficient way of doing things, especially on shutdowns. So we can build those in-house, basically however the guys want them, and to whatever specs you need. But yeah, that's that one's kind of tricky sometimes because you can build 3 or 4 different surfaces for one project. But obviously perform the necessary field work, machine control, pre-construction layout, quality control stuff. You know, we said we work with the foreman and the any guys on site that are using the rovers to make sure that they're getting the data that we need. And then all the as-built drawings when we're done. A lot of people require some sort of record drawing of what we did. By having these guys in the field shooting stuff as they go, we are able to provide much more accurate as-built record drawings for these people. So some of our initiatives are just continue to Integrate current and new technologies, which we do a lot of. Technology is always changing, but it helps certainly to enhance productivity and efficiency. We've done a lot of training lately, field crews to help so they can self-perform different tasks, whether it's the leveling, like we showed earlier, or the layout procedures. Data management, everything, like I said, we take all the drawings, all the plans, and turn it into something that people can use out in the field. And then we also take that data from the crews and provide deliverables to whoever needs them, whether it's inspectors, the state, in-house. Equipment management, we also work with the mechanics when it comes to machine control issues on jobs, cables, sensors, things like that that get smashed or ripped off or whatever happens to them. We work with the mechanics to make sure that they have what they need. Brad's been really great about doing a lot of the electrical stuff when it comes to that. So here's some of the toys we get to play with. This is the machine control box blade skid steer. You see it set up on that mast, has a prism on top of it that is attached to a robotic total station. This provides the ability to basically be able to grade within an 1/8 of an inch tolerances. We've been using this a lot with the pavers lately, but it's a great tool to have. We basically bought it for a few bike path projects we've had, and it's turned out to be huge in parking lots and paths and things like that. But it's pretty tricky to run, but it's a really useful piece of equipment. We have a simulator that we use for training also. Right here in the office, you see it's basically set up very similar to the machine. Has a tablet there on the right side, just like you would have in your excavator or your dozer. That allows you basically, obviously, we're not training people how to run excavators. A lot of guys are like, hey, this doesn't feel like an excavator. We're not training you how to run the excavator. You already know how to do that. We're training you how to use the machine control piece of it. And we can run through tutorials and things like that right on the simulator, and doesn't use any diesel fuel. So it's a pretty efficient way to get guys trained up on how to use some of that stuff. So, and that's free. Anytime you guys want to come in and try it out, just let us know. Shoot me a text or a message or something like that, and we'll get you set up and you can come in and train on this stuff. So, very similar to the skid steer. Here is a dozer set up with a prism on it also. This is inside a building. I believe this is up in St. Albans. Grading for concrete on the inside of the building. There's a little bit of a pitch inside this building. It wasn't just level. So we were able to basically grade everything interiorly using the robotic total station and a dozer. So old school method still. Set a level up, make sure your bridge seats are the right elevation, check it first before you drive a very large bridge into place and set it down. We still kind of use some of these more basic methods because they're still the most accurate methods. Setting up a site level and just checking grades is still the simplest, most efficient way of doing it, because I mean, it's just adding and subtracting, simple differential leveling. So this is in Richmond. It's a picture of us doing some checks on the as-built locations of the bolts. Obviously, this is another one where can't really be wrong here because you got to place a piece of steel on top of that. So making sure we built it all right, make sure it's to tolerances. We're literally using a prism that is a 1-inch wide prism. So it is extremely accurate. So yeah, just making sure that we locate everything. Here's some crew training we just did on differential leveling. This is Ken Allard's crew. Brought his whole crew in because he wanted to teach them all the procedure and also the note taking. And that way, as these guys progress in the company, like the Calvin Millers who become foremen, these guys learn these things as they come up through, and then they pass it on to the guys that they have. So more guys we can train on how to do this stuff, and make it kind of a company-wide thing as things progress. Guys move up through the company, it'll kind of become just part of our culture. So that's all we got.
Very cool. Thanks, Richard.
Absolutely.
Who's this guy? Yeah,
Well, he
Mike
still has
Twombly
red
back
hair in the pic. He still has red hair in the picture, so it has to be quite a
Yeah.
while ago.
in 2008 up in Stowe when we first built it. And now we're back there, right?
Yep.
I think we'll be highlighting this job again here shortly. So we're finishing up some punch list stuff on that site. Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks. And you too, Richard and Gunner and Mike. Well, if you're watching a group setting, please send that over to Tom or myself. Let's have a safe and productive day. Happy Easter to everybody.